Let's be real, in the high-stakes world of construction, even one tiny delay can set off a massive domino effect, creating chaos and costing a fortune. That's because the project schedule, it isn't just a calendar with some dates on it. It's the strategic roadmap, the literal foundation of a successful build.
So in this explainer, we're going to take a journey. We'll start in the chaos of a project that's gone off the rails, then we'll build a clear roadmap using something called the critical path. And finally, we'll see how modern dashboards can give you a command center to keep that whole plan alive and on track.
All right, first up, let's dive into a scenario that is probably way too familiar for a lot of you. We're talking about what happens when there's no clear, actively managed schedule. In a word, chaos.
I mean, does this sound familiar? You're juggling a dozen different spreadsheets, trying to make sense of weekly reports that are already out of date by the time you read them. The folks on site and the team in the office, they're just never on the same page, basically working from different versions of the truth. It's a massive headache.
And the result of all that mess? It's predictable, and it's always costly. But here's the real kicker. These problems are never isolated. A delayed decision directly leads to a missed milestone, which then causes a big, nasty budget surprise. It's that domino effect we talked about, where tiny little delays just pile up and compound until they threaten to sink the entire project.
Okay, so how do we fight back against the chaos? Well, the solution is all about changing how we think about the schedule. We have to transform it from some static document nobody looks at into a dynamic roadmap, a single source of truth that the entire team can rely on.
At its heart, that's what a schedule really is. It's the master plan. It breaks down exactly who needs to do what, where they need to do it, and when. It creates this logical sequence that prevents bottlenecks and just keeps the whole project flowing smoothly.
And that's exactly why a good schedule is so much more than a piece of paper. It's a shared reference point for everyone. It becomes this central hub that aligns the general contractor, all the subs, even the project owner. It just cuts through the noise, reduces confusion, and seriously boosts coordination.
I love this quote because it really gets to the heart of a huge mindset shift. The goal isn't to create some perfect, rigid plan that shatters the second something goes wrong. No, the goal is to build an adaptable guide, something that's tough enough to steer the project through all the inevitable, real-world challenges you're going to face on site.
Okay, so we know we need an adaptable schedule. But how do we actually build one that's powerful enough to guide us? Well, the key is a technique that sounds complicated but is actually brilliant. It's called the critical path method.
Now, don't let the list fool you. This is a really logical, step-by-step process. You start by just breaking the whole project down into smaller, bite-sized tasks. Then, you figure out which tasks have to happen before others can start. After you estimate how long each one will take, you map it all out visually, and that's what lets you find that all-important longest path.
And that is the critical path. Think of it as the spine of your project. It's the one single sequence of tasks that has absolutely zero room to slide. It's like a line of dominoes, right? If any one of those tasks on that path gets delayed, even by a day, the entire project's finish date gets pushed back by a day.
So what about all the tasks that are not on the critical path? Well, that's where this awesome concept called float comes in. Float is your wiggle room. It's the amount of time a task can be delayed without actually hurting the project's final deadline. Tasks on the critical path have zero float, but knowing which other tasks have flexibility is an absolute game changer for managing your resources.
Okay, so we've found our critical path. We have our roadmap. But a map is pretty useless if you can't see where you are on the map in real time. And that's where modern tools come in, turning all that project data into a powerful command center.
This slide just nails the massive shift in how we can manage projects today. The old way, on the left, that's all about stale data in PDFs and emails, discovering problems weeks after they happened. The new way, on the right, is about live data streaming in from the field, a single source of truth, and spotting issues the moment they pop up. It's the difference between constantly fighting fires and being in proactive control. And a truly great dashboard isn't just a bunch of random charts. It's a focused command center that brings all of your project's vital signs together in one place. You can track your schedule, your budget, your resources, your risks, all of it. It gives you this crystal clear, at-a-glance view of your project's health. All right, so we have our plan and we have a way to track it. The final crucial piece of this puzzle is having the discipline to keep that plan alive, relevant, and accurate through the entire life of the project. And this right here is where so many projects go wrong. They treat the schedule as this thing you create once at the beginning and then forget about. But the schedule you build on day 1 is never going to be the schedule you have on day 100. It has to be a living, breathing document that evolves to reflect what's actually happening on the ground.
So how do you keep it alive? Well, it really just comes down to building a few simple habits. You've got to update it regularly with real data from the field. Constantly compare where you are against where you plan to be. Use that float we talked about to solve problems creatively. And maybe most important of all, make sure the entire team can actually see and use the schedule. That's how it becomes a powerful tool instead of a dusty artifact.
And that really brings us to the final takeaway here. Your schedule is so much more than a to-do list. It's your project's compass. It tells you where you are, it tells you where you're going, and it helps you navigate all the storms in between. When you manage it well, it's the one tool that empowers you to steer your project all the way to a successful finish.
You know, everything we've just discussed, from finding that critical path to keeping the whole schedule alive, it all gets a heck of a lot easier when you have the right tools for the job. If you're tired of the chaos of scattered spreadsheets and endless WhatsApp groups, it's time to digitalize your workflow on a single platform that's actually built for construction.
This explainer was brought to you by Lementai. If you want to take real control of your projects and see what a difference a unified platform can make, just visit lementai.com to start your free trial today.